right? So the cases out of Alberta are down again. But first thing, I'm not going to be talking about the cases for about the next week or so, just because I'm going to be busy with some stuff. So I'm not going to really have time to be making any more exclusive videos. So just going to say that for starters. But again, 94 new cases. The active cases went down by about 30, so that's good news. Hospitalizations were down by a decent amount. Same with ICU numbers. 7,200 tests, so that's down a little bit, but we've still tested over 600,000 people, so that's good. The numbers are actually up a little bit in the Edmonton zone, but they're way down in the Calgary zone, so that's good. But anyway, that's pretty much the numbers. The numbers out of Ontario have been pretty good over the last little bit. The numbers out of Quebec are actually still pretty steady. So again, that's the numbers out of Canada. BC, I believe the numbers are relatively steady. Saskatchewan, Manitoba are nothing really that big. But the big stuff I wanted to get into was BLM, and they've been at it again, and they're sounding even more crazy by the day. So I mean, first they want to abolish the police. Now BLM protesters in Toronto now they want to abolish prisons. And again, this is the one of the many problems with BLM, and this is the problem with these leftist movements. And I mean, the first things first, is that this is a political movement. I read in the comments all the time about these people arguing on whether or not they're a political movement. I mean, it's mainly the people that support them. Of course, like, how insane do you possibly have to be to not think that they're a political movement? They're openly a political movement for many reasons. Number one, um, the the group that handles donations for BLM donates a ton of money to the Democrats. And not only that, too, you look at, magically over the last month was the first month Biden, or was it June? I don't remember which month it was, but Biden all of a sudden earns more, gets more donations than Trump. How? What do you know? Like BLM got like $50 million. Oh well, what would? Ooh, that's quite the coincidence there. So that's the first thing, is that a lot of the money ends up in the hands of Democrats. There's no debate on that. It's rather obvious. You can look that up for yourself. And number two, many of the organizers and the top people are Marxists. They're openly Marxists. They say they're Marxists. So again, let's stop pretending that this isn't a political movement. Like, come on, and again, it has nothing to do with racial justice or human rights or any of this other absolute garbage that I hear out of people. It has nothing to, or it has very little to do with that. It is simply a political movement that is aiming to do political things. Like, let's stop pretending about this kind of stuff. And again, if it had anything to do with human rights, again, this is the easiest thing in the world to debunk. They wouldn't pick the thing that kills 10 black people a year. There is millions of black people enslaved today. 10, what, 6, 7 thousand other blacks are killed by other blacks. Again, if it actually was about human rights, you wouldn't go way down on the list of the most amount of people being affected, and hundreds of times down, all of a sudden blacks killed by police. Again, like, come on, people. Like, I don't understand how you have to be so insane. It's not even funny to believe that. So again, and again, when it comes to abolishing prisons, again, let's just release all the crazy people onto the streets. Now, again, I believe that there's a better way of doing things than it's currently being done. And this is the other thing too, where I believe that even though I agree with them on like 95% of stuff, the libertarians and the actual anarchists of the world, um, get completely wrong, and not all of them, because I do know some that disagree with this, but the ones that they agree with BLM, with the whole defund the police and abolish the prisons thing. And it's not that I believe in a the police and the way it's being done, but the way that BLM wants it will be worse than currently, right? And that's why that these people are completely wrong. And again, I don't mean to be too critical, because I believe they're right about the vast majority of stuff. But again, the goal here is chaos. Like, the goal here is chaos. Now, again, getting to the next point here, this is from Tim Pool, and he links to an Andy No tweet. Um, and Tim Pool says, now that the feds are not engaging outside the courthouse, the far left is attacking random people. They just have a lust for conflict. Again, this has nothing to do with human rights or racial justice or any of this garbage. They just want chaos. This is the communist play. This is communism 101, is cause chaos. And offer up your solution. And that's how communists always take power. Like, again, it's so obvious. Like, it's so obvious. And again, we have the top people in these groups, many of them admitting they're communists. Like, again, how more obvious could it be? Do they have to come to your house and scream it in your face? Like, I don't get it, these people. Like, again, like, seriously, do they have to come to your house and scream it in your face for you to believe it? Because it seems like a lot of people still wouldn't believe it then. So again, this is just more and more evidence that it has nothing to do with racial justice or again, this is Antifa, but anti-fascism or any of this garbage. And again, Antifa and BLM are pretty much hand in hand. They're not the same group, and the goal isn't the same, but they're pretty much hand in hand when it comes to this kind of stuff. Again, so it's just another thing to point out here. And again, another big thing too is also from Tim Pool here, and he links to a story and he says, Black Lives Matter Louisville is threatening small businesses with mafia tactics that don't pay. They demand 1.5% of net sales to be approved NPOs, diversity training, diversity hires. They vandalize a business that refused. Again, this is extortion. This is a shakedown. Again, is this what people want? Like, again, the problem I understand is that most people, they're somewhat neutral on this kind of stuff. Again, they don't support the violence. They don't support a lot of the craziness that's going on, but they side with BLM and with Antifa by default because they're again the average person who's more apolitical. Whenever it comes to a political dispute or disagreement, they will almost always side with whatever side is, number one, appears to be more confident in their position, regardless of whether or not they're right. It doesn't matter how wrong they may be. It just matters how confident do they appear. And number two, how violent are they? Again, the group that's willing to use more violence is almost always the one that people will side with as well. And it's the same thing with Antifa and Black Lives Matter. Again, are the groups that are against Black Lives Matter and Antifa nearly as violent as them? Well, no, it's not even close. Again, so that is one of the many reasons why that kind of stuff is going on. So again, it's just utter craziness. Like, and this is the thing too, for people that actually think this is something that's not a bad idea. Like, again, they will not stop here. I guarantee you, if they get this, they will ask for more. They will keep pushing until you say no. And the problem is that whenever you say no, it's all racist and all these terrible names that they call you. Again, and here's the thing too, is that they wouldn't call you names if they actually had a better argument than you. I don't care if someone actually even is a racist. Um, you simply debunk their argument. You simply debunk their argument. And if you don't do that, then what you're confessing is that you don't have an argument that is better than theirs, and their ideas are probably better than yours. And this is the other problem too that's going to happen if this stuff keeps escalating, is that there will be counter groups, possibly ones that are actually racist. You may see a counter group that is actually white supremacist come out of this to counteract these people. Because again, it's the same thing with the whole virus situation, is that because the government has gone so far to left field, there is groups that have gone so far to the right field to try and counteract that, like the 5G stuff. Like, again, and not only, like, that's the thing, is that whenever people become this crazy, a group opposing them oftentimes will become crazy on the other side. So again, that is one of the other many problems that could spring up out of this if this stuff keeps escalating. So again, the last thing I wanted to talk about here is, I mean, sports have come back up, and uh, there's been a lot of this stupid kneeling and all this kind of social justice warrior communist garbage going on. And this is from Jay Hanna on Twitter here, and they say, I'm old enough to remember when some of the best hockey players in the world risked their lives to escape the Soviet Union and Czechoslovakia so they could play in capitalistic countries. It appalls me to see millionaire players protesting in favor of Marxist organizations. Now, again, Black Lives Matter is openly Marxist. Let's stop pretending that's not the case. Let's stop doing that. And again, this is the thing too, that you have these people that are of the most privileged people in the world. And then again, it's not that I don't agree with well, necessarily. I do think that it's a little bit disrespectful, but I'm not against this kind of stuff because of the whole disrespecting the vets and the police kind of stuff, which I do believe to an extent, but not as much as some people. I believe that I disagree with it because I think they're just flat out wrong. And even if you think that they're right, let's just assume that you think that they do have a just cause and everything. Um, they're not even going about it even close to how they should be going about it. Because again, if they actually cared about Black Lives Matter, again, then they wouldn't only focus on the things that kill some of the smallest amount of black people. That literally, I mean, again, like more blacks die of falling down stairs, and constipation every year than being killed unarmed people killed by police. Again, so just randomly choosing, hey, let's um, protests in this kind of favor, it's stupid. It makes no sense because if Black Lives Matter, the goal should be to save and to help the most amount of blacks that you can. Not go down the list, next to near the bottom and pick, hey, let's just randomly pick out unarmed blacks killed by police. No, if anything, you should start at the top or at the very least close to it. But they don't want to do that because there's no way to really virtue signal about that, because again, that would piss off a lot of people that don't like to be pissed off. And not only that, that they would largely agree with politically. So again, that's why they're not going to do that. So anyway, that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about today. If you liked the video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you check me out on those other platforms. Check out the links that are in the description, and stay tuned for more videos.